In a future not so far away, Earth is gasping for its last breath. Humanity, once a species of explorers looking up at the stars, now finds itself staring down at the dirt, worried only about survival. Crops are failing one by one, devoured by a relentless blight, and the world is slowly suffocating under a constant storm of dust. In this decaying world lives Cooper, haunted by dreams of a life he once had, a life among the stars. Every night, the crash that ended his career replays in his mind, a painful reminder of a time when humanity dared to reach for the heavens. His daughter, Murph, a brilliant and curious girl, believes there is a ghost in her bedroom. Books fall from her shelf for no reason, and she is convinced it is trying to communicate with her using Morse code. Cooper, a man of science, dismisses it as nonsense, but he encourages her to record the facts, to analyze, to be a scientist. Their world is one of pragmatism, where college is a luxury few can afford, and society has rewritten history, labeling the Apollo missions as propaganda. They need farmers, not engineers. But a spark of Cooper's old life ignites when they spot an Indian Air Force drone in a thrilling chase through the cornfields. Cooper's piloting instincts take over. With his son Tom at the wheel and Murph navigating, he successfully hacks and captures the drone, a relic from a forgotten era of technology. He plans to repurpose its solar cells for the farm, another practical solution for a world that has no room for dreams. But the strangeness continues. Cooper's automated farming combines mysteriously steer themselves off course, their compasses scrambled by a strange anomaly. The final piece of the puzzle clicks into place during a massive dust storm. Murph had left her window open, and dust has fallen onto the floor in a peculiar pattern of lines. It is not a ghost, it is gravity. Cooper realizes the pattern isn't Morse code but binary. It is a set of coordinates. Driven by a force he can't explain, he decides to follow them. With Murph hidden in his truck, they drive out into the unknown. The coordinates lead them to a secret facility, hidden behind a chain-link fence. Within moments, and he finds himself face to face with the last remnants of NASA. He is reunited with his old mentor Professor Brand, who reveals the terrifying truth. The blight isn't just killing the crops, it is consuming the Earth's oxygen. Humanity's time is running out. There is no plan to save the world. The plan is to leave it. For 48 years, a wormhole has been sitting near Saturn, placed there by an unknown intelligence. It is a gateway to another galaxy, and to 12 potentially habitable worlds. 10 years prior, the Lazarus mission sent 12 brave astronauts through the wormhole, each on a one-way trip to scout these new worlds. Now, only 3 are still sending back promising signals. NASA has built a final ship, the Endurance, but they lack a pilot. They believe the gravitational anomaly that led Cooper here was no accident. They believe he was chosen. Professor Brand reveals 2 plans. Plan A is to solve the problem of gravity and launch massive space stations to carry humanity to a new home. Plan B, abandoning everyone on Earth and starting a new colony with thousands of fertilized eggs. Brand gives Cooper his word that by the time he returns, Plan A will be ready. Faced with an impossible choice, Cooper agrees to pilot the mission. He believes mankind was born on Earth, but was never meant to die here. But telling his children is the hardest part. His son Tom understands. As he is about to leave, she reveals what her ghost has been spelling out. It is one word: stay. Heartbroken, he gives her a watch, telling her that due to relativity, time will pass slower for him. When he returns, with tears in his eyes, he leaves his sobbing daughter behind, a promise to return hanging in the air. As Cooper drives away from everything he has ever known, the launch countdown begins. The rocket tears through the atmosphere, a fiery arrow aimed at the stars, leaving a dying world in its wake. The crew docks with the Endurance, a spinning ring designed to create artificial gravity. Their journey will take 2 years just to reach Saturn, 2 years of cryosleep to conserve resources. But before he goes under, Cooper watches the first messages from home. Time marches on relentlessly on Earth. Finally, they arrive at the wormhole, a shimmering sphere that bends the very fabric of space-time. As they plunge through it, reality distorts. They feel a presence, a handshake from the beings who created this path. And then, they are through, in a new galaxy, 100 billion stars away from home. Their first destination is Miller's planet, orbiting a supermassive black hole named Gargantua. But there is a problem: extreme time dilation. For every hour they spend on the planet's surface, 7 years will pass on Earth. They plan a quick trip, get in, grab Miller's data, and get out. The descent is treacherous, a high-speed atmospheric entry through clouds of frozen ice. They land on a planet covered in knee-deep water. They find the wreckage of Miller's ship, but no survivor. Then, they look to the horizon. What they thought were mountains are In fact, colossal tidal waves, thousands of feet high. A frantic race against time begins. Brand is knocked off her feet, but Case, the robot, rescues her. Doyle isn't so lucky. He is swept away by the immense wall of water. The Ranger is swamped, its engines flooded. After a desperate hour waiting for the engines to drain, they barely manage to escape the planet's surface. They return to the Endurance to a horrifying reality. Romilly, who stayed behind, has aged 23 years. He has 23 years of messages stored for Cooper. Cooper watches a lifetime unfold on a screen. He sees his son Tom graduate, get married, and have a child. He witnesses the death of his grandson and his father-in-law. Finally, a message from Murph. She is now the same age he was when he left. The weight of his lost years crushes him. Meanwhile, back on Earth, the adult Murph is now a scientist working with Professor Brand. On his deathbed, the professor confesses the terrible truth. Plan A was a lie. He solved the gravity equation years ago, but it was incomplete. He needed data from inside a black hole singularity, an impossible task. He never believed they could save the people on Earth. He sent them out to die so that Plan B could succeed. Devastated, Murph sends a message to Brand, informing her of her father's death and his betrayal. The crew of the Endurance is broken. They don't have enough fuel to visit both remaining planets, Edmonds's and Mann's. Amelia Brand argues for Edmonds's planet, confessing her love for the astronaut who went there. She believes love is a force that transcends dimensions, a guide. But Cooper, heartbroken and pragmatic, chooses to follow the data. They set a course for Mann's planet. They arrive on a frozen, sterile world. They find Dr. Mann in cryosleep and awaken him. Overcome with emotion, Mann weeps at the sight of another human face after so many years. He paints a picture of a harsh but promising world below the ice clouds. But as Cooper accompanies Mann on a scouting mission, the horrifying truth is revealed. The planet is uninhabitable. The data was all fake. Mann, broken by solitude and despair, triggered the beacon simply to be rescued. He attacks Cooper, cracks his helmet, and leaves him to die. While Brand races to save Cooper, Romilly is killed by a booby-trap Mann left behind. Mann escapes in one of the Rangers and heads for the Endurance. He attempts an unauthorized docking, ignoring the warnings. The imperfect seal causes a catastrophic depressurization. The airlock explodes, killing Mann and sending the Endurance into a deadly spin. In a display of impossible piloting, Cooper performs a dangerous maneuver, matching the station's violent rotation to dock their remaining Ranger. They regain control, but the Endurance is critically damaged and falling into Gargantua's gravity well. With almost no fuel left, Cooper devises one last desperate plan. He'll use Gargantua's gravity to perform a slingshot maneuver, flinging them toward Edmonds's planet. But to escape the black hole's pull, they must shed weight. First, he detaches the module carrying TARS, sending the robot into the black hole to collect the quantum data. Then, to Brand's horror, he detaches his own ship, sacrificing himself to ensure she has enough fuel to reach the final destination. Cooper plummets into the abyss. His ship is torn apart as he crosses the event horizon, but he doesn't die. He ejects into a strange geometric space. He is inside the Tesseract, a 5-dimensional construct built by future humans. From here, he can see every moment of his daughter's childhood bedroom. Time is a physical dimension he can move through. He realizes with a shock, he was Murph's ghost all along. He can't change the past, but he can send a message. TARS, having survived the fall, transmits the quantum data. Using gravity, Cooper encodes the data into the second hand of the watch he left with Murph. Years later, the adult Murph, now a brilliant physicist, returns to her childhood room and finally understands. She retrieves the watch, decodes the data, and solves the gravity equation. She saves humanity. His mission complete, the Tesseract collapses. Cooper is ejected back through the wormhole and found drifting near Saturn. He wakes up on a giant space station named Cooper Station, after his daughter. He is now 124 years old. He has one last reunion with Murph, who is now an old woman on her deathbed, surrounded by generations of her family. She tells him that no parent should have to watch their child die, and urges him to go find Brand. On Edmonds's planet, Amelia Brand has set up a new camp. She removes her helmet, breathing in the air of humanity's new home. Alone, but with hope. And Cooper, a man out of time, boards a ship once more, ready to venture back into the unknown.